Some of y'all are here from my other video, and I'm about to break down to you what Sonder did to the city of New Orleans. Get ready. In 2005, there was a hurricane, right? 2005, there was a big old fat ass hurricane. What do we know her as? Katrina, right? Katrina came through. She destroyed a bunch of houses, an abundance of houses. The whole city was wrecked, ravaged. No one knew how they were going to pay to repair their homes because FEMA didn't help. George Bush doesn't care. What were we to do? In comes Sonder. Probably a couple of years later. I'm not really quite sure of the timeline, but I do know that they entered the city and they had a plan to buy up everything in sight, incorporate themselves in a lot of Marriott hotels because Marriott said, hey, this does sound like a good deal. We own stuff worldwide. Why not have some short-term rental options within our hotel system and chain? But then things got a little nefarious. Sonder started buying up all of the homes that needed renovations that couldn't be afforded by the local citizens. Now see, one block had 7 houses. And out of those 7 houses, only 2 actually came back to renovate their houses. These 2 right here. Our good trusty neighbors came back and they said, I'm not leaving New Orleans. Now the rest of them, they didn't really know how they were gonna afford any of that because guess what it costs to repair that, especially if the government isn't going to help you. It costs money. So desperate times came for desperate measures. Either they just let their houses get collected by the city or they sold it to a company unknowingly, thinking that it would be for the betterment of their pockets so they too could have a better life. So now you still have these 2 people on the street, right? But then we've turned these into short-term rentals. And the problem with short-term rentals in neighborhoods is that the sense of community is gone. Especially in a city like New Orleans where people come to party, have fun, get drunk, show boobs. Yeah, no. Would you like that on your street? A bunch of visitors from you don't know where the hell they're coming from every single week, week in, week out, especially during major events in the city. You just had random strangers on your block leaving trash, disrupting things, coming in at all hours of the night. You didn't spend all that money and take all that time renovating your house to have strangers destroy your street, did you? In comes 2016. The city now sees that this has become a problem because the #1 thing that keeps New Orleans going is the tourism. And if there are no citizens to work as doormen, valets, bellhops, front desk people, restaurant workers, cooks, chefs, you name it, then the city starts to tank. And then tourism starts to tank. And then all of the government agencies were like, hey, what's going on? We're not getting our money from the tourism. And it simply all stems from these houses being bought by large corporations. 2016 comes around and they put some regulations, but those did not go into effect until 2017. Mind you, I left the city of New Orleans in 2016 because it personally was hard for me to find a place to live. When you have a small significant amount of houses that are only available for rent because all the rest of them have been bought up, they would not rent their homes to us. They would not let us rent the homes that we saw every day in our lives. Sonder refused to rent homes out to local citizens, even though we wanted to pay the egregious amount that they were asking for. So let me ask you this. You know how hot New Orleans is, right? Why would I pay $1,700 a month for a 2-bedroom shotgun with window units? No, no, no. So people then decided to leave. I was one of them. In 2023, they actually made some more regulations stating that you could not own more than 1 short-term rental per block in New Orleans. And that had everybody up in arms. Sonder, Airbnb, they started suing the city. Private property owners also started suing the city. But you know, I do have a special place in my heart for somebody that only owns 1 or 2 homes that wanted to rent it out. I'm sorry that you got caught up in this mess, but they were ruining the city. And then finally, in 2025, they enacted another regulation. Short-term rentals were no longer allowed to get licensing to be in the city anymore. And even if you did have a license now, you can't even renew it. It's suspended. And that's how we're going to make New Orleans great again. I can't speak to the other cities. I do know that this is a huge issue in cities like Detroit and the Bay Area, in New York, for instance. So Just be mindful, y'all. When you're using an Airbnb, it's not always your best option. You're not protected. There might be cameras in the house. Who wants to clean up and then be charged a cleaning fee? Stop using these third-party sites on your stays. The only option where it is good is if you have 8 or more people. But even then and so, you can go directly to a hotel website or get on the phone with them and say, hey, I need to rent out a block of rooms. They will give it to you discounted. And you will have more protections than you do behind these short-term rental properties like Vrbo, Sonder, and Airbnb. They can shove it.